What is going on, everyone? My name is Under the Radar, and today I'm bringing you guys the round 8 of the PPL. This is the actual battle. As you can see, we're not on Showdown, as I said that we were in the team builder. That is because Showdown actually was down the day that we planned on having the battle, so it was like, well, we have to real quick gen this and all this other type of stuff. So it's actually Tuesday at 5:30 in the afternoon. I go to bed in like an hour and a half, and I have to get this battle recorded, rendered, uploaded, and all that other type of stuff. So it was a very rush. However, this was probably one of my favorite battles of the entire season because literally everything that I prepped for, everything that I expected him to bring, everything that I expected him to do, he did not do. From the instant that I saw his team matchup, I was thrown off. Granted, as you can see, you guys know my team. I did a team builder on it, but looking at his team, he brought the Jordinez, the Miltank, the Seismitoad, Sylveon, Floatzel, and Rotom or Rotom Cut, whatever you prefer. Now, something to note is the fact that he does not have Weavile, who ran through my team. He does not have Heatran, which gave me a massive problem with my Jirachi being one of my main attackers. He gave me a problem with Gligar getting to stay in on it because of the risk of burn with Will-O-Wisp or Lava Plume. And he also gave Electivire problems, and same with Clefable. So, not seeing either one of those two was amazing. And then I didn't see Mega Scizor. Mega Scizor is his only form of hazard removal outside of Swallow. And that means that instant rocks put instant pressure on his team. And you guys know what I plan to do with Magic Coat Milotic turn 1. The only good thing about him surprising me with all of these sets is I kind of had a general idea as to what all of them would do the instant I saw them. The instant I saw Druddigon, I was like, okay, he's going to be Rocks with Sheer Force, Life Orb with Thunder Punch for Milotic because Evelyn in D1 actually did that against RTK, who has a Milotic, so I fully expected that. I kind of sort of expected his Seismitoad to be like a bulkier variant to kind of sort of toxic my team and wear it down with Sludge Wave for Clefable. And then I kind of expected Specs Sylveon at this point in time with bulkier Miltanks, Seismitoads, and Rotom. Rotom potentially being Specs. If Rotom wasn't Specs, then Sylveon was, vice versa, just to hit my team extremely hard. Also, I was really expecting a bulk up variant of Floatzel. I was also kind of sort of expecting Curse Miltank, but not with the team that he has here. He couldn't, I don't think he could afford to run setup Miltank with it. But with all that being said, let's go ahead and hop right into the battle. Now, as you guys will see, this battle is a little laggy. I do apologize for that, but it's the rushness of this. I had to render it out in a lower quality, and I really do apologize for that, but it'll be okay for 1 week. I do lead off with my Milotic. I do go for Magic Coat with my Milotic just because I wasn't about to let him get a Brox, and he does go for Thunder Punch turn 1 just like I figured he would have on his Druddigon, so what can you do? I'm going to get the Leftovers Recovery, and right here I'm not going to let my Milotic go down this early. It's turn 2. I considered it. I truthfully did, because I was like, well, Milotic doesn't do a whole lot for me this match. I don't know what to do. But I'm actually going to go right into my Gligar, because Earthquake plus Thunder Punch is basically what Evelyn did, and I wasn't about to let him do that to me too. So I go in my Gligar and I get up my own Rocks, because I figured I wasn't going to be able to catch him by the surprise anymore with Magic Coat, so I'm going to get up my own Rocks. So me bringing Rocks on Gligar was a very good idea in the end. He does get up his own Rocks, and I'm not going to defog these. Ever. I'm not going to defog him, because then that would mean that I'd have to put him back up, and I would lose a lot of momentum, and I'm not going to do that and give him the chance to do that to me. Instead, I'm going to fire off an Earthquake as he switches out into a Seismitoad, and this does a decent amount of damage. It does about 35%. And that right there kind of tells me that he's not as bulky as like max HP, max defense, so I kind of got a little hope for right there. I'm going to go into my Milotic because I can live any hit with Rocks easily with Rocks, so he's going to go for the Ice Punch, and that does actually 0. Especially after the Leftovers, it does literally 0, so that's awesome. And right here I'm going to go for the Toxic, as I know I can live any one hit. I didn't recover there, which was a misplay. I do think that was a massive misplay, but he goes for the Drain Punch, getting a little bit of health back, and he crits me right here, and I live at 1 HP. So I kind of sort of get punished from a misplay, but then again Arceus smiles on me and says, okay, don't make the misplay again. So now this thing is toxic. I'm at a low amount of HP. I know I outspeed this thing because of the toxic damage. I was a little worried that it was a speed tie, like he accidentally made a speed tie instead of a outspeed for this thing, but who knows. So right here I am going to go for the recover as he goes into his Rotom Mow. Now, this is where I kind of had to do a little bit of scouting, because from after I get the recover, a Thunderbolt or Volt Switch will not kill me, but a Leaf Storm will if he's choice specs. So that's what I had to realize. Or if you went for Thunderbolt and it was choice specs, it would kill me. So right now, if he's choice specs, he will kill me, and he goes for the Leaf Storm, and he does kill me. So that's kind of important for the fact that it tells me that he's instantly choice specs. I knew it right away. He has to be choice specs, otherwise he would not have killed me. But what I'm going to do right here is I'm going to go into my Electivire, and I'm going to go right for the Fire Punch. I'm going to get damage off on this thing. He has to switch out because he's at -2 special attack, and I figured he would go into his Thick Fat Miltank. What this does is this takes Stealth Rock damage, forces him to Milk Drink later on, and it also lets me know if he is in fact Thick Fat or something else to take a hit, like Sap Sipper or something like that. But I go for the Fire Punch, and it does actually 0, so that tells me that he is Thick Fat. Now, right here, I'm going to pause it real quick. Before the match, I actually changed a spread around on my Crobat. I made my Crobat modest with enough speed to outspeed Rotom Mow. I didn't outspeed max speed Miltank for a reason, and that's because if I didn't outspeed max speed Miltank, he could only hit me with Body Slam, and then it wouldn't be that big of a deal. And then that also tells me that he cannot run max HP, max defense, max HP, max special defense, or what have you. He would be like max in the defenses, a lot of attack, or just a lot of speed to outspeed my base 95s, which are Electivire and Kyurem, and then all that type of stuff. So I have to stay in here just to see if he's going to be max speed. I can live in Earthquake if he doesn't have attack investment, so if I live, then that tells me that he's bulkier, and then I might have to go for a couple different moves or do some fancy switching and things like that, but I have a way to figure out this Miltank set right here, and I need to take the chance while I can, so that way I can figure out if Clefable can take it out, or if Gligar or Jirachi can take it out later on. So let's go ahead and resume the battle. He's going to go for the Earthquake and show me that he does outspeed, so he is max speed, so that, or not max speed, but a lot of speed, but he does not kill me, so he's not max attack, so I figured this Cross Chop will not kill, but it does kill. Turns out he was actually like a lot of speed, some HP, and then the rest in special defense. So that Cross Chop kill was insane for me. It was insane to grab that much momentum, especially on a Miltank that I was terrified of. He goes into his Floatzel. Okay, hold on real quick. I'm going to pause it again. I'm going to be doing a lot of pausing this match because I had to think a lot this match. Jordan really kept me on my back foot and really had me think. I haven't had to think this much in a battle in a long time. He went into his Floatzel, which kind of sort of tells me that he could be Scarfed, but Floatzel naturally outspeeds me, so he doesn't technically have to be Scarfed. He could just be bluffing the Scarf. So that was one thing that really had me worried. Another thing I have to think of right here is what moves this Floatzel could potentially have. Right now it's too early for him to predict anything, so I was safe to go after my Clefable. However, I need to watch for Iron Tail because it can carry Iron Tail and it has a very high chance of OHKOing me from full. So I need to watch out for that. So let's go ahead and hop right back in. I'm going to go into my Clefable, like I said, because it's too early for him to predict it. If I went into Gligar, I would have eaten it up. If I went into Jirachi, I would have eaten it up, and so many other things. So he does go for the Ice Punch. It does about 0, so that's really nice for me to see. And this also gives me a chance to see what he's going to do. He does switch out, so that tells me that he is choiced or he's bluffing it very well. And he goes into his Sylveon. I did predict this, and I switch out myself, and I go into my Jirachi. Now, this kind of sort of puts him on the back foot really hard because I now get to make a prediction as to what he's going to do. I'm actually, right here I'm going to get hurt by rocks, obviously, and I'm going to get the leftover, so I'm going to get back up to full. But after this, I'm going to predict him to actually switch into his Seismitoad. And he does switch out, but he actually goes into his Rotom. I did go for the Energy Ball right here, and it doesn't do anything to this Rotom, but he does take rocks, which is super nice for me. And I do go for the Energy Ball. It doesn't do much of anything, which kind of tells me this is a bit bulkier of a Rotom. Even though I am adamant, it should have done more than that. So right here, I'm going to go for the Drain Punch, and it does a decent chunk as he tricks me. And then I do see that he is in fact Choice Specs, that he tricks me. So I am locked into Drain Punch, which, yeah, it kind of sucks that I'm now Choice Specs. However, being choice specs into Drain Punch isn't that bad, because I get to kill this thing. If he's gonna Willow me, he would have done it by now, so I feel like he would have Willowed me before he tricked me. But he's going to go for the Leaf Storm right here, and it does close to not a lot, just because, like close to maybe a quarter, if that. But Drain Punch plus Leftovers and all this other chip damage that I'm getting off on this Rotom is so nice that I can't turn it down. I'm going to go for another Drain Punch right here, and he doesn't die. He goes down to maybe like 1 HP, 2 HP. And I get a decent chunk of health back. As he goes for Hidden Power, I would assume is Ice, maybe expecting me to switch into Gligar to stop the Volt Switch, but there was no need for me to predict that, because I would have gotten the Drain Punch off first, he would have Volt Switched out, and then he would have died to Rocks upon re-entry, so there was no need for that. So I'm going to go for the Drain Punch right here again and knock him out. And this is amazing. Two of the things that I feared the most going into this match have died very early on. Rotom Mow is something that I wasn't prepared to take on at all. So right here he's going to go back into a Sylveon, and I was like, I don't know what this thing has for me. Electivire has such a low amount of health now anyway, it can't do much for me. So I'm going to go into Electivire, kind of sort of sacking it off, just because with Rocks, I'm not going to live a hit anyway. It's not worth me trying to keep this thing around. I'd rather kill it to a Hyper Voice, get a free switch into my Jirachi, and be able to go for Iron Heads again, and potentially flinch something. But as you see, he does go for the Wish, and he's going to withdraw and try to pass it into his Druddigon. Now, I did go for the safe Earthquake. I didn't go for anything else just because I didn't feel the need to go for a coverage move or an electric type move, because he still has his ground type Seismitoad. That Earthquake does a lot of damage. Kind of tells me he's not bulky, because by the calcs, my Earthquake should have been doing about 20%, and that does about 40. So that's something that I had to keep in mind. It does about 35. And he is just going to go for the Iron Head right here and kill me. Now, he went for the Iron Head. Right here, I kind of had a little bit of mind games, because, hold on, let me pause it real quick. So, I was expecting this thing to have Thunder Punch and Gunk Shot for my Clefable, because Gunk Shot is a guaranteed OHKO, as to where Iron Head on defensive is not. So, that was something that went through my mind, what he could have. I've seen Iron Head, Earthquake, Thunder Punch, and Rocks at this point in time. So in the battle, I was like, does he have Gunk Shot? What the heck is wrong with me? However, I have seen all of his moves. And looking back at the match, I should have gone into Clefable right here, because I could live in Iron Head and I could kill this thing off right now. However, it could cause problems later on, so I'm kind of sort of glad I made the little mistake of not recognizing his moves. However, I don't even know if I could even consider it a mistake. It was more of a lapse in judgment, and the judgment could have made me make other moves, so that's really good for me. I'm going to go right into my Gligar instead, because I have no reason not to. I can take any hit this thing wants like it's nothing. And I get to fire off EQs for days now that his Rotom is gone. And he's actually going to go into a Seismitoad. He's going to take these nice Rocks damage, and he's going to take Poison damage and an Earthquake damage, which is super nice for me. This Earthquake damage, along with Toxic damage, does put him at a range where Earthquake will kill him from this range, so Gligar is finally going to get a chance to rack up his first kill of the season, which, you know, Gligar put in a lot of work this match. I also outsped, so that tells me he wasn't speedy either, because he could speed creep uninvested. He's now going to go into a Sylveon, who's going to take Rocks damage. Here's another thing I had to do. I can live a Hyper Voice, get an Earthquake off on this, and then go into Jirachi and Iron Head my way to victory. I'd have to flinch, I'd have to get a little lucky. However, I can do it. So that's no problem for me. But I'm actually going to go ahead and show you that I did go for Earthquake. This is going to do a lot of damage to this Sylveon. That's kind of surprising. I'm uninvested. So he's going to go for the Hyper Voice. I do live it, which is awesome. And I go for a second Earthquake, and I actually get to kill this thing off. So it kind of sort of came up with a trade-off. Now, I'm going to pause it real quick once you can see my HP. Once you can see my HP one more time. He's going to go into Floaty Thingy. Now, you can't see my HP because I switch right out. I have 29 HP. I can switch back in on Rocks and go for a Roost because I do outspeed his Druddigon. So that's something else that I did notice that I kind of sort of kept in mind while making this play, is if I wanted to preserve differential at this point, I could, and if I won, I could preserve it, is what I'm saying. I don't win yet, but if I do win, I could preserve differential by switching this thing out, switching it in once he kills something with his Druddigon, roost up, and then I could proceed to win if Floatzel is down. But as you can see, I am up 4-2. So right here I have no computer. Don't freaking install in the middle of my recording. Are you stupid? So I have a play to make. Right now my Gligar can either stay in and die, and then I don't preserve differential, and I could potentially lose to Druddigon if I'm stupid somehow. Or I could lose to this thing if he's not choiced, which I'm pretty positive he is. I could go into Crobat, who hasn't touched the field once, who can't touch Druddigon whatsoever unless I get really lucky with like Heat Wave burns, but I'm minus defense anyway, and all this Floatzel has revealed is Ice Punch. So I could go into Crobat, which is basically dead weight right now, or I could go into Clefable, and he predicts it and he goes for Iron Tail and kills my Clefable. So there were a couple options I had to weigh out, and in the end, I do decide to just sack off my Crobat. Reason being is because if I can go into my Crobat, let it die off, and get a free switch into Clefable, I win. That is how I realized I win. If I sack off this Crobat, which essentially does nothing, I win. Because what I get to do now is I get to go into my Clefable, I get to Thunder Wave this. And whenever I Thunder Wave this thing, I then outspeed it, and then I can Soft Boiled up, so I'm at full health so I can live in Iron Head, and I can also Moonblast this thing to kill it. So that's really what my game plan was. I do go for the Thunder Wave, and right here I'm actually going to go for the Moonblast because I wanted to see how much damage it would do. If you went into Druddigon, the Moonblast would have killed, so that's something I had to keep in mind. And right here, I go for the Moonblast, and I do a good chunk of damage, and he gets paralyzed. Now, real quick, if he hadn't gotten paralyzed, what I was going to do was I was going to Soft Boiled up the next turn as he hit me with an Ice Punch. After leftovers, I would have been able to live in Iron Head, and I was going to stay with Clefable, and I was going to win with just Clefable. But because he got paralyzed and he didn't do the extra damage to me, I didn't feel the need to Soft Boiled up and make this go an extra turn. So that's what happened there. Because 156 out of 200 is not quite enough to live in Iron Head at this range. I'm just going to go for another Iron Head and kill this thing. And after leftovers, I have a chance to live. I don't like a chance. I could go into my Gligar and fodder that off, but I don't even like that idea. Because he does have Iron Head, I kind of sort of know that he has to go for it right here, otherwise he loses. So I kind of sort of play on that, and I go into my Jirachi because I can resist his Earthquake, and then I can Iron Head him, which should kill him, hopefully. He's going to go with the Iron Head. It does next to nothing because Jirachi is amazing. I love Jirachi. Even Sheer Force, Iron Head, Sheer Force Life Orb. Go for the Iron Head, and he does live, but I get the flinch, so nice little hacks. Oh, I just realized I haven't updated that Floatzel died. Haha, that's funny. But now, Druddigon does go down to the Iron Head from Jirachi, and I do end up winning 3-0. Now, this battle kind of sort of came down to a lot of 50-50s I had to make. Especially with the mind games with Floatzel, it kind of sort of really made me had to play differently than I have in the past. His team threw me off from the very start, and Jordan, I know, is probably one of the best battlers in D2, so that's really really nerve-wracking whenever you're playing somebody that you look at as one of the best. So we do advance to 7-1 with a plus 20 differential. I'll let you think on that for a minute. 7-1 plus 20. We are looking so good for the promotion range. We need one more win to guarantee second place, I believe. Don't quote me on that, but I believe. I will show league tables and stuff like that in the next video, in the next PPL video, so you can count on that. But thank you, Jordan, so much for the battle. It helps me out so much. Also, huge shout out to Erik for genning 3 teams and recording my match for me all in the span of like 2 days so I could get everything done in time. Erik really saved my butt, so I just want to thank you, Erik. It's awesome. But this battle was so much fun. I had a blast doing it. So if you guys could go ahead and check out Jordan's channel, the link will be in the description along with Erik's. I'd really appreciate it. Also check out all the PPL links in the description because, you know, PPL links are fun. So with all that being said, I'm going to go ahead and get on out of here. I hope you guys have an absolutely fantastic day, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye.